It's time for another review, and this time I'm reviewing a romance that was actually picked by my friends and I because we are taking a girls' weekend trip to Georgia, and we thought it'd be just the best idea to read a book set in Georgia. So we had a couple options, and we voted, and we picked this one, and let me tell you, it did not disappoint. And that is The Orchard by Jeffrey Stepakoff. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. If I'm not, I'm so sorry. But there's a look at the cover. And this book, I had no notion. I've never heard of it, never knew anything about it. But let me tell you, this book is fantastic. If you like Hallmark movies, this book is up your alley. If you grew up watching Dawson's Creek, Jeffrey wrote on Dawson's Creek. So you already are familiar with his writing. And once I read the back and saw that he worked on Dawson's Creek, I was like, okay, we're in good hands here. Because I, for one, as an elder millennial, 100% grew up watching Dawson's Creek. So let's set the scene for our book. We have Grace, and she is like an expert at smells, would be the best way to put it. She works with perfumes and all these things. She's currently, at the beginning of the book, living in France and not super happy with her job because her boss likes to take credit. And let's be honest, no one likes that boss. And she gets headhunted by a company back here in the States. So she moves back to Georgia, starts working for them, and is really, like, she is top notch of her field. She is one of the best in her field at being able to obtain smells from rare orchids or whatever it may be, and then formulate them to use them in foods and perfumes and things like that. So she is rocking it. And of course, because she's rocking it at work, she does not have much of a life outside of work. She is in her 20s, and everyone keeps telling her, like, hey, you need to go on dates. Hey, you need to do more than just work. So she's going to take up her coworker on this blind date with this coworker's friend. So she's on her way out, and her assistant hands her an apple. And she eats the apple, and she's like, this is the best apple I have ever tasted on the entire existence of this planet, and I need to know where it came from and who this farmer is, because this smell and taste is ideal for like everything I can ever imagine, and I need it. So the assistant gets her the information. She's supposed to be going on this date, and she's still like actively working as she's coming up to the date, and then she decides that instead of going on this date, that she's going to call the farmer. And that is where we meet Dylan. And Dylan is really not having it. He answers, he's like, no, not interested in whatever your big corporation's offering. Don't care. Click. And Grace is like, oh, hell no. I don't take no for an answer. So she then gets in her car in the middle of the night and drives up to this farm. She gets there in the morning. It's a couple hours from Atlanta. She gets there in the morning. She gets stuck in the mud. It's like a whole thing. And then she meets Carter. And Carter is the daughter of our widowed farmer, Dylan. And Carter's like, ooh, here's a girl who's like my dad's age. And, she's like 9 or 10. So, as preteens do, they think they know everything. And so she takes her up to the farm, and that's kind of where the story really kicks off. And there's a lot of, will they, won't they? Do they like each other? Do they not like each other? Is Dylan ready to date after his wife has passed? She passed away like 3 years ago on the farm, and you hear the story about how his wife passed. Grace is really struggling with like, oh my God, I might really like this guy, but like my career, and what happens if I like this guy? What happens to my career? And it's just Hallmark. It's a romance. It's all the things that you love. So if you love romance and Hallmark, and you're looking for a book with a warm hug, I highly recommend The Orchard. And I will say, they need to redo this cover, because this cover would not speak to me. I am a fan of like the cartoony romance covers that are so popular right now, because I think if this had one of those covers, it would fly off the shelves, in my opinion. So there you have it. But go check it out. Let me know in the comments if you read it and what you think about it, because I'd love to get some interaction going. I feel like I'm talking to myself, which is really the point of YouTube, isn't it? Is to sit here and talk to myself. But yeah, Let me know what you think if you've read The Orchard or if you're going to pick it up, because it's a great read and you'll just have to read it to find out if they have a happily ever after and if what happens with Grace and Dylan and their prospective careers, right? He's the farmer and she is our taste expert. So enjoy, and I'll be back soon.